Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Front Page, a show brought to you by Spectrum, Verizon Fios, as well as ARMA, the Auburn Regional Media Access, and played on WIN 89.1, the college's radio station. I should say that's where they play. This is brought to you by CU Community College. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. This Sunday, the Auburn Chamber Orchestra holds its first of two concerts this spring at the Rev, better known as the Merry-Go-Round Theater for those of us who are a little bit older. The topic is Pop's Concert, Let's Go to the Movies, starting at 2 p.m. And we're delighted to have back in the studio the president of the Auburn Chamber Orchestra and a local attorney, Colvin, to talk to us about the two concerts and also about the Auburn Chamber Orchestra. If you've not been to these events, they are fantastic. Their Christmas concert, or I shouldn't say Christmas, but their December concert was sold out. Or at least packed. You don't sell tickets, and we'll get into that in a second. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So for those who have never gone to an Auburn Chamber Orchestra event, what is the Chamber Orchestra?
Yes, so the Auburn Chamber Orchestra is a completely community orchestra. We have musicians of all age ranges, quite literally from age 13. We have some young students up to one of our violinists is 98 years old. So we truly span the gamut when it comes to the ages of the orchestra.
How many musicians play for you?
It will differ by each concert, but this upcoming concert that we'll talk a little bit about, we actually have 60 musicians, which is quite a large number for us.
And you are one as well?
I am, yes.
So what do you play?
I play piano.
And where did you start playing piano?
I started playing, well, I was 5 years old, and I started taking lessons right here in Auburn, because that's where I'm from. I was in kindergarten and just started picking up some by ear and had a knack for it, and I was 5 years old, and I've never stopped. And
you have been playing with the Auburn Chamber Orchestra for how long?
For me, it will be about 5 years that I've been playing with the orchestra.
And of those set pieces you mentioned, violin, piano, what's the range of the instruments that are utilized?
Sure. So I would say we are majority strings, so that would be violin, viola, cello, upright bass. But besides that, we do have all different instruments as well. We have a brass section, woodwinds, complete percussion section, depending on the pieces that we're playing in any given concert.
And some of your musicians have been playing for decades with the Chamber Orchestra.
Yes, yes. Yep, so we were founded in 1986, and we've got some musicians that have been playing since the founding year. Maybe off and on, here and there, but we do have some musicians that have been playing with us for that long.
And do you get most of your, it's obviously the Auburn Chamber Orchestra, so are many of the people, even if they're older adults who are going through, you mentioned 13-year-olds, I'm assuming they're coming through the Auburn schools or private schools where they picked up an instrument somewhere in their education.
That's right. So the younger students, it's not like this is their first foray into playing with an orchestra. It would be because they started in school and they continued with it and maybe have a knack for it, just an interest for it. They do audition, so it's, students that are interested enough and also, have the base to play what the rest of us, play.
So when they come in to audition, well, first of all, how do they find you? Other than a parent has basically said, you gotta go do this.
So probably the biggest, so that answer I bet would differ over the years, but I can speak to now certainly. We are very lucky and very blessed that we have a small number of music educators right in our orchestra. So for example...
So they're a natural feeder for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So, and that makes us, so lucky in that regard, because these teachers are kind of eyeing and seeing, okay, this person seems really interested. I think they have the bandwidth for another group. I think they have the chops for another group. And that's kind of probably, I would say the biggest feeder is, like I said, we're lucky to have some music educators that's the channel they come through.
And when you say 13-year-olds, so I'm assuming these are children who are either just getting out of middle school next door or they're in high school. Do they have to be in high school to join you?
It's not that they have to be a certain age, and honestly 13 might be a little young. I would say for the the underage kids that are playing with us, it's probably actually more like between 15 and 17.
Okay.
So probably more high school than
And
middle
then some
school.
go off to college. I know one or two that have gone off to college and they come back, and they may not live necessarily in Auburn, but they live in Central New York and they come play with you.
Yes, and that's another reason why we feel so fortunate, and we try to make sure that these people, these musicians know it, and if they don't, I hope that they hear this when I say that we are so appreciative that even the folks that don't live here in Auburn, they travel to play with us. That's time, that's energy. You know, a lot of times after their work day, we've got folks that come from Syracuse and beyond, so we're very lucky in that respect.
So for this example, so on Sunday, and we'll get to what the specific music is, because I'm interested in hearing about that, but how often do you lead into practicing? You know, I'm assuming this week there might be multiple practices, maybe, but how you did your Christmas concert, so for January, February, March, how often do you practice?
So we practice every Tuesday. Those are our rehearsals every Tuesday. Now we do take some time in between depending on the calendar. So for example, we had our last concert mid-December. This next concert is not until April 4th, so we did take a short time off in January, restarted in February.
And I want to go back to this audition for just a second. So when you are asked to audition, do you bring your own piece? Are you assigned a piece that you may be playing with the chamber orchestra? How's that work?
Usually a little bit of both.
Okay.
So bring a piece that you're prepared for, but you'll also probably be asked to sight read a piece, meaning you're seeing it for the first time and you're playing it. And it's not going to be perfect, and everybody knows that. But the idea is, like, what are your reading
It's not a
skills
panel like American Idol.
No.
So how large a group, and are the people, so if, so I know somebody who plays trumpet, who's 12. If he was coming to audition, not that he's going to be told to, but if he was to come, would he only be heard by the conductor and or just people in the horn section, or could it be a variety of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So definitely our conductor, and usually one other musician as well.
And your conductor is?
Victor Vallo.
And we'll talk about him in a second. Sure. He's a professor. He teaches some courses here. He's at Lemoyne, and he's been your conductor for a number of years.
Yes, the last 3 years he's been a conductor.
So somebody comes in, I interrupted you, so they play for your conductor and a couple of others?
Yeah, probably just one other. Maybe it's like, let's say it's in the string section, it might be the certain music educator that I mentioned, you know, because she'll have a good ear and be able to see what's what, or perhaps somebody from that section as well, but certainly the director.
And when you mentioned you have a large string section, so what are you missing? What's out there that, hey, so-and-so teacher, could you get us some what's? What are you missing as an instrument?
Great question, and I wish I came more prepared with this plug. It does differ every concert because we just consider ourselves so lucky that based on all these great building blocks over the many years, we've gotten to a point where we actually have a nice little, what's called a sub list, a substitute list, where if, you know, this person can't play because he or she has a personal obligation, we actually go to the list and say, okay, who can we call in next to sub in? The one that I recall that we have a lot of tough time getting somebody for would be French horn and tuba. As for what we're lacking for these next two concerts, I'm not too sure about that. But
my friend Roger Gunn plays the French horn, if I remember correctly. And he's been there for a long time. I'm not going to say forever, but he has played for a number of years there. So you're looking for people who will supplement as well.
Yes, and also that we can just keep on our list, whether, you know, it may not be that instrument all the time. Like I said, it differs every...
But you also sometimes want multiple multiples of the same.
Yes, sometimes
one trumpet, one French horn may not be enough.
Right, yep, and like that example right there, we have multiple trumpets, so yeah.
You're a not-for-profit?
Yes.
Where do you get your money from?
So we are majority funded by our patrons, actually. So the way that our concerts work is, and that our programs work is, all of our concerts are free to the public. So we do ask for donations and not a certain amount. We just ask for, so whether that be, $1 or $10 or more. When you do attend the concerts, we hope that you'll consider that. But certainly, all of our concerts are free, and that is what the plan is for, the foreseeable future.
And if I remember correctly, you'll take cash, but you'll also take Venmo?
We'll take cash, credit card, PayPal.
PayPal,
Yes.
Okay. And so when somebody walks into the Merry-Go-Round Theater, the Rev, as it's known now, at 2 p.m. on Sunday, they don't have to have a ticket because you can't register to get tickets in advance.
Correct.
It's first come, first serve, but they can make a donation then.
Yes, they can make a donation then, whether it's dropping some cash in the cash box, or there will be codes, to use your phone to get onto the PayPal.
And you sell ads. You have a program. You sell ads there.
We
You
do.
also ask people to do memberships every year.
We do sell ads for businesses, not memberships. We are considering.
But somebody can. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say member. But at different levels, you can be in a category and write a check. You'll take a check for $100.
Oh, we sure will. We'll take a
Okay.
check for whatever anyone wants to give
Okay.
us. But yes, I think to answer your question, we do have in our program, we have set out amounts, and people
Right.
are named as
Levels for
Levels,
that.
yeah.
So, how long have you been president?
I have been president. I'll be ending my second year.
And how large is your board?
We are currently 10 people.
And is everybody on the board a musician as well?
No.
Oh.
No. Nope, we're not. We are at this point, because we've just added a few new folks, we are at this point about 60-40 musicians to non-musicians, which for us we think is great because our non-musician board members will sometimes, think of things and they'll add things that we as musicians don't always think about. So it's a nice diverse group.
And you're a local attorney?
I am.
You practice here in the city of Auburn. What's your specialty?
I help a lot of folks with their real estate matters, and I do corporate law as well.
Okay, and so other than, I know you're also on the QU Museum Board, because we
Yes.
had your one of your staff on
Yes.
last week, who did a wonderful job talking about there. How much time does the Auburn Chamber Orchestra, out of your non-legal, your volunteer time, take up?
Well, so the way that we're set up, I've already mentioned our conductor, and I've used the word interchangeably, director and conductor. Victor Vallo, he is both our conductor and our musical director. So Victor really...
So he's figuring out what pieces you're going to play?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yep, and he really guides us all things creative, and he also, of course, helps with a lot of the logistics. But Victor is like our creative guide, and we're kind of here to help him, make that creative vision a reality. So in that respect, we're a working board. We're not a board that has, for example, an executive director or any type of executive assistant. So it's all hands on deck for us 10 plus Victor.
So whether it's folding envelopes or designing the flyer that'll go out to people to remind them of that. So he has been your conductor for how long, did you say?
About 3 years.
And what is his background?
So Victor's been a musician for a very long time. He's also been a music educator in all levels, and I believe you mentioned this too, he's a professor too. So all in the music realm. So he's been in music, as I understand it, just about all his life.
And do you pay your conductor?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk about April 6th. This show will play all the times up until one time when it's past that.
Sure.
So it'll play today on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. But on Sunday, you have your first of 2 concerts this spring, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And it's entitled Pop's Concert, Let's Go to the Movies?
Yes.
So what are you playing?
Well, so we've got a lot of great movie soundtracks, pieces that I think a lot of people will recognize. So some examples would be Star Wars, of
So
course.
these are faster moving pieces than maybe next month's.
Some of them are
They're more action oriented.
Yeah, but we do have, I'm thinking of 2 in particular. One is called Somewhere in Time, and another is the theme from Band of Brothers.
Okay.
And those are a little bit slower melody, just really beautiful. So a little bit slower, but you are absolutely right. There's a lot of action packed.
So what stuck out to me was Star Wars, Batman,
Yep.
James Bond.
Yes.
All right. So
Yep.
what's the as a Bond fan? What's the Bond song?
So that'll be a compilation of different songs from the movie.
Okay.
So I don't know if I want to spoil exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be a lot of tunes that people are going to recognize.
And so when you're doing this, are these arrangements done by your conductor? Are they pre-packaged in the sense of, let's just take Star Wars. I mean, if you're passing through your living room and your kid has Star Wars on, you know what it is. Batman may be the same. Bond movies, if you're doing a compilation of several Bond, are these pre-packaged or are you all arranging these as you go?
They are pre-packaged.
Okay.
So, and actually we are very proud to say that a lot of times we're playing like the original iteration of what you might hear on TV or movies, because hopefully we've gotten up to that skill level. So yes, it's pre-done. It's not that our conductor writes it.
So your conductor, if I remember correctly, last year or the year before, you did Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
And he popped on stage not in a tuxedo.
He did, yes.
He was Indiana Jones. Is that something we should expect this time?
Well, so...
or does he surprise you?
Well, he did surprise a lot of people with that. So you'll see him in his regular garb for this concert, but he does have one special surprise for one of these pieces. Again, I don't think I want to ruin the surprise today.
And I know all of you wear black for the most part, and some are in tuxedos, some are in dresses, some are in just suits. When somebody shows up at a concert, we're past Arthur Fiedler in 1976, where everybody showed up in a suit.
Yeah.
So when somebody's going to a concert, what should they dress? Is there a dress code?
That's a great question, and there is no dress code. So you're
just show up.
Just show up. Yep. You got a couple hours. I should say just 1 hour on Sunday. You got jeans on. Please show up. There is no dress code. There's no expectation that you have to look really nice, despite what you might think about, the orchestra and classical music. We really don't try to have that feel to it, So no dress code. Please show up in whatever you're wearing that day, and we'll just be glad to have you.
And so this is at the Merry-Round?
Yes.
And you have done the last 5 or 6 concerts there. Is that your new permanent home?
Yeah, we do hope to make that our home. If as many concerts as we can play there, we do try to. Now, of course, sometimes there are scheduling conflicts, so that might happen. But we just love the Rev. It is just the right
It's got great
atmosphere.
acoustics.
Great acoustics.
501 seats, if I remember correctly.
501 seats, no bad seat in the house. It's set up like a beautiful venue. So, yeah, we do like playing
So when
there.
we say 501, this is not something that just somebody 25 and over. You encourage also young people to come.
Absolutely, yes.
So usually when I've gone, there's been seats that are filled by, 4, 5, 6-year-olds. They may not be, this will keep their attention, this music.
Yes.
But when you have them in there, what do you want? Why do you want parents to bring children there, and why should adults be, hey, this is okay?
Great question. I think, especially as a person that was lucky enough to soak up music at a young age, I think it's important. And I think it's important at that young age because then it just becomes part of your everyday, I shouldn't say every day, but more of a typical, this is not a big fancy special occasion to go to the orchestra once every 5 years. No, this is in our backyards. It's a mile down the road. I show up in jeans. I got my
And
kids
they're also
in tow,
during the
and
day
it's fine.
versus what you would consider if you were going to a 7:30 or 8 o'clock performance.
Oh, yes. Yep, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like
Is
I said,
family
a nice
friendly.
time. Yep, family friendly. Nice time to really just, be able to build out, okay, we're going to, and again, the beauty of our concerts, I feel, is that we do try to keep them relatively short. All concerts are an hour or less. So you don't have to, again, feel like there is this big, time commitment.
And there's
certainly
usually,
not
because
monetary.
of the venue, there may be, but they're not often an intermission. People are sitting, but they can get up and go out.
Yep, it
at the
differs
end.
by concert, but certainly, yes, if you got to get up, no problem.
So I know you don't charge a fee, but if I was to walk, maybe I'm not a good example, if one of the students in our control room was going to walk into the Rev at 2 p.m. On Sunday, what do you suggest is whether it's a student or my next door neighbor?
Yeah, great question. So hard to put a number on, and I guess I'll just say it with this giant caveat, which is anybody should feel free to attend with any amount of, you got a couple ones in your pocket, that's fine. But I guess if I had to ballpark a number, probably around $10.
Okay. And it is not literally for anything else but to support none of your other
absolutely.
musicians. You conductor, but that's a different position because they're doing different things.
Correct.
And that's a one-off
Yep.
person. All of you are volunteers. This is to make sure that we keep a chamber orchestra.
Absolutely, yes. So thank you for touching on that. Although our conductor is paid, none of our other musicians are paid. It's completely volunteer. Of course, our board is also volunteer. So strictly this money, it's like it just funds the next one, which funds the next one, which funds the next one. And of course, we have some costs, and sometimes we replace instruments, stuff like that.
Do the musicians provide their own instruments for the most part?
For the most part, yes, unless it's something really big like a timpani or,
Well, I'm sorry.
That's okay, a
What is
type
it?
of drum, a really
Oh,
big type of drum.
Okay.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
you don't keep in your backpack.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So when somebody is supporting this and they're coming to the event and they can make that payment, you have, in essence, what I would consider 2 back-to-back concerts.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of breathing room.
No, there's not.
You're less than a month away from this weekend of your next concert.
Yes.
And that is scheduled for May 4th. You can do May 5th and figure out a Star Wars theme. No. So that is a different theme.
Yes.
And I thought I read it as Symphony's March Madness.
Yes.
Though the tournament will be over by then.
That will be over, but that's
so,
okay.
what are the details of the who, what, where, and when first, and then we'll get into what the music is.
Sure. So yes, it's called Symphonic March Madness. We keep our concerts same day, same time, same place where we can. So an easy way to remember it, it's always Sundays, always 2 p.m. So this next concert, after the one that's coming up this weekend, will be Sunday, March 4th at 2 p.m. at the Rev, also known as Merry-Go-Round Theater. It's called Symphonic March Madness, and just like the name, at least part of the name implies, it's going to be a lot of marches.
So Mendelssohn, Tchaikovsky, Wagner, Verdi. What are these pieces?
So these will be little shorter in nature, a march, so think, marching, so a little faster. One really fun aspect of this concert in May is that we're going to be doing what's called a side-by-side. So we will have more children musicians than we usually do, as the name implies, they sit with us for one piece, and they'll play along with us. So
When
that's
you
very
say children,
nice for
how
us.
old are they on average? Are they high schoolers, middle schoolers, or are they younger?
For this one, I believe it will be a little bit younger than
Okay.
our typical. Yep, and there will
Again,
be more
feeder,
of them.
they will hopefully,
Yeah,
or whether they play there or they'll play some other instrument and they'll,
right. Yes, that's
Take up an
absolutely
instrument.
right. And we like to think what a great experience. You're on stage, you're at the Rev, you're next to, another musician, an adult that's been playing for a long time. So, yeah.
So a month are the same for the most part. I thought you said you had 60 musicians this coming weekend?
We do.
How many musicians will you likely have for the May March event?
I don't know exact numbers, but if I had to ballpark it, it will be similar, perhaps closer to 50.
And is it many of the same musicians?
Yes.
So this is where I'm going with this. How does that turnaround? Because you're going to finish this week, and there's literally 3.5 weeks before the next. How do musicians, some of them have played maybe some of this music before, but to get a whole organization to turn from one thematic to another, is it easy?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I would call it easy, and that's a great question as well. So I guess it's kind of multifaceted. One is that, again, Victor, just being very good at what he does, has picked a theme and a number of pieces that, although they might not sound easy to the audience, they'll just be a little bit easier for us to play. It'll also be shorter. And the last thing I'll add is that because Victor...
The whole concert's shorter? Or
the pieces will be shorter, and in turn the whole concert might be a little shorter as well. And we are also lucky enough, because Victor's just a whiz and very organized, he has already gotten us the music for May. So we already have it, and if we're so inclined...
So some of you are practicing this on your own. You're just not waiting until Tuesday nights.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, a lot of us are practicing, yep.
When will your fall season start?
Our first concert, the exact date would be up in the air, but it usually always falls the last week of October.
And is there a theme yet on that?
There is, but I think I'll probably keep that one a secret for now.
So just some general, we got about a minute and a half left. If somebody wants to help the Auburn Chamber Orchestra move forward, how can they help you?
Well, monetary donations are always appreciated. Again, you know, our major sources of funding are local people, so individuals and businesses, and this money just gets recycled right back into making sure that we can put out stellar programming.
Are you on the web where people can
Yes,
look things
we are.
up? Okay.
Yep. We have a website. We're also on Facebook, on Instagram.
But on the web you can donate as well?
Yes.
Or at least find where you can send a check?
Yep, you can do either. You can donate by credit card or PayPal right on the website, or yes, you'll see where you can send a check.
One of the reasons I was asking how you can support, it's not only to pay your operating costs, you also do a scholarship.
We do.
So what's the scholarship for, and not necessarily who is it going to, but what are the qualities or the qualifications for somebody who receives the scholarship?
Yeah, so our scholarship goes to a senior who has played with us. There are parameters, you know, have to play with us for a certain number of concerts and a certain number of years. And that also dictates the amount. So X amount of concerts and years equals X amount of dollars.
So it's somebody usually who has played with the Auburn Chamber Orchestra. Okay.
Yep, certainly, yep. So we will have one recipient this year, and it fluctuates every year, as you can imagine, because it depends on how many seniors we have.
And how do you pick the person?
It's just rising seniors that have been with us for a certain amount of time. So there is a short application process. But
I know we talked beforehand. You're not going to give me the name because that you will name at your May concert,
you got
correct?
it. Yep.
Okay. As we end out, again, where is this weekend?
Absolutely. So this weekend, and I want to add in one detail that we haven't talked about yet, which is because the theme is Let's Go to the Movies. As you well know, Auburn is the birthplace of sound on film. So we are also very proud that we're incorporating some folks and some themes from the Cuga Museum. Miss Haley Booth is going to be introducing our concert because we don't know that most of our audience is going to know just how important it was, everything that happened in Auburn, New York, and in theater cases.
It's about connecting the dots.
Yeah. So I did want to make that little plug there. You know, there's a lot going on with this concert that's historically significant. But to answer your question, our concert, it's called Let's Go to the Movies, and it's on Sunday, April 6th, 2 p.m. at the Rev, also known as Mary Ground Theater. And although there is no admission charge, donations are appreciated.
Our guest has been Ellie Colvin, the president of the Auburn Chamber Orchestra. If you have not been to their concerts, they are worth the price of admission, especially if you will give them $20, $30 per person. But it is this weekend with Pop Goes to the Movies. A great event, great to participate in the sense of attending those events. So please, if you have time on Sunday, the 6th at 2 p.m., please go to the Rev, the Merry-Go-Round Theater. Those 501 seats go quickly, though. Just remember that. Yes. We will be back on Thursday with another Beyond the Front Page with Erica Ryan, who is the Executive Director of Homesite. We'll be talking to her about her programs and what her not-for-profit does. Then on Tuesday, we'll be back with Donna Lamb, the Executive Director of the Seymour Library, of the Schweinfurth Art Center, who is going to be on to talk about her change in her life in the sense that she's retiring, but also talking about what's going on at their campus. If you go by the West Genesee Street entrance, you see lots of changes in that building, both there and we talked last week with the Cuyahoga Museum. We'll also have Auburn's new police chief, Matthew Androsco, will be on to talk about what his vision is for the department and how he is adjusting to his new position. If you have thoughts or ideas for guests, you can send them to cozguytho@aol.com. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cuyahoga Community College. Thank you for watching. Remember to go to the concert on Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Rev, and otherwise we'll see you back here in the studio on Thursday. And